Hi, this is Christian Cantrell for Watch Report, and today I want to show you the Tissot High T. This watch might actually be the most sophisticated digital watch in the world in terms of just the sheer number of features and functionality that it has. It's not even a watch in the conventional sense. It's more like a circular computer that's strapped to your wrist. It's an MSN direct watch, which means that it receives data wirelessly via an FM radio signal, and I'll get more into that in a little while. But it's even an excellent digital watch even without the MSN service, so you can't overlook that. Even though it's an MSN direct watch, and which is a very cool feature and gives it a cool set of functionality. It's also a pretty good watch on its own, even without the wireless features. I'll start with the basics. It has a stainless steel case and buttons. As you can see, it has 3 buttons here. 1, 2, 3. For such a sophisticated watch, it's surprising that they can get by with only 3 buttons. The reason they can do that is because it has a touch crystal, and I'll get into that in detail in a few minutes. It has a synthetic sapphire crystal. It's not just a touch crystal, it's also a synthetic sapphire crystal, which means it's pretty much scratch proof, which is nice since you're putting your grubby hands all over it in order to operate the watch. It's nice that it's scratch proof, and you can just polish it on whatever you have handy, and you don't have to worry about it scratching. There's a rubber strap. The watch case is pretty heavy, so they couldn't really put a stainless steel bracelet on it. That would make the watch extremely heavy. So it has a rubber strap, and it has a stainless steel case, or I'm sorry, a stainless steel clasp, which is pretty nice. It keeps it pretty firmly attached to your wrist. Pretty nice clasp system that they use. I want to start off with the non-MSN Direct features. It has a vibrating alarm, which is something that I love. I think all digital watches should have vibrating alarms. It's really nice to be able to just get rid of the beeps that watches make, and be able to hear it when you're in a loud room or at a party, riding your bike, whatever. It has a touch crystal, as I said before, and I'll get into that in just a second. It has something called watch faces too. So if you hit these buttons here, you can cycle through the watch faces, and a watch face is basically a sort of a configuration, time configuration. So this is sort of the most basic watch face, and you can see it tells me the day of the week. It has the full date here. It has the time, obviously, AM or PM, and it has this little icon which indicates that I have messages on the watch. And then if I hit these buttons, I can scroll through the different watch faces. This is one that I like a lot. Sort of one that's supposed to be a little bit classic. And obviously they have animations, which is kind of neat. And there's all different ways of telling time. This is one that tells you where it's dark in the world and where it's daytime. This is one that shows you 2 time zones simultaneously, which is nice. Pacific time and Eastern time. And they also have an alternate mode, so if I hit this middle button, it's going to go into this alternate mode, and it's going to show me battery life at the top, and it's going to show me signal strength at the bottom, which is really neat. And I want to show you the touch crystal. If you hold down this middle button for a couple seconds, the watch vibrates to tell you that the crystal is now active. And I'm going to start tapping on the crystal, and you can see that I'm basically emulating pressing the top and bottom buttons, scrolling through the different watch faces. So the touch crystal is very well done on this watch, as with all the watches that Tissot makes with touch crystals. Okay, so I'm going to start with showing the sort of the basic digital watch features that this watch has, which is pretty much everything that you could want. If I tap over here, then you can see that I can scroll through the different features of the watch. It has a chronograph, so it's a very basic chronograph. Start, stop, and reset. Also supports lap or split times. two alarms. This is a daily alarm, and this is a programmable alarm. And what I mean by that is that you can see that I can set the date for the alarm up here, which is neat. So you can, set it for any date in the future rather than having it sound at the same time every day. Has a nice timer, countdown timer, which is something that I really like to see all digital watches have. And I just set it for 1 minute here because I wanted to show you this little progress bar that it shows along the bottom, which is really handy. You can kind of glance at it and get an idea of how much time is left. Okay, and this is a settings mode where you can review and configure the watch in different ways. You can change the time zone, you can turn the vibration on and off, you can set the sound level, you can check your time zone or set your time zone, look at your, you can turn the radio on and off on the watch. By radio I mean whether it receives FM signals, receives the MSN direct signals. You can change the time format, the date format. You can change units from US to metric system to the metric system. You can create a time offset. So if you're chronically late or chronically early, you can sort of set an offset to try and trick yourself. The watch is for all intents and purposes an atomic watch because it calibrates using the MSN direct signal, and that time signal calibrates with a atomic clock, so the time is always exactly right on the watch. Let's see, watch info. So I'll tap on that. You can see signal strength is 100%, battery life, and this is a code that can be used to activate the watch. So those are sort of the basic features of the watch, the digital features of the watch. And now I want to get into showing you the MSN Direct features. Basically, the way MSN Direct works with the watches, anyways, is that you can choose a set of channels that you have synchronized with your watch. They have there's the watch face channel where you can add and remove all the different watch faces that I showed you. There's a glance channel where you can configure the watch to cycle through the other channels, so you can just leave it on glance and glance down at your watch and pick up different types of data. There's a MSN Direct channel where you can receive instant messages from MSN Direct Messenger. There's a weather channel, news, stocks, sports, a calendar, and there's even an Outlook plugin that you can use, which will send your appointments from your Outlook calendar. It'll push them to your watch, so you'll get alarms for events that are scheduled on your Outlook calendar, which is very, very cool. There's movies, there's traffic, there's something called daily diversions, which is just sort of trivia and stuff like that, horoscopes, and lottery numbers. Those are all the channels that are currently available. So now I'm going to run through, actually show you some of the channels I have. I don't have all the channels configured on this watch because some of them I'm not interested in, so I don't have lottery numbers and horoscopes and diversions and stuff, but I have most of the channels, so I can show you most of them. So I'm going to activate the crystal, the touch crystal, by pushing in the middle button. Tap over here twice, and now you can see that I can scroll through the MSN Direct features. Here's glance, and basically what glance does is, so you can see, it'll just sort of cycle through different data that I have on my watch, and you can configure which data you want to have cycle through. So now it's cycling through watch faces. Here's messages. So in messages I have a news flash here. Let's see what this is. So you can see different breaking stories being transmitted to my watch. If I want to delete this one, I can just hold the, I place my finger in the center of the crystal, and after about 3 seconds it deletes each particular message, which is nice. Or I can go to message settings and tell it to erase all. I'm not going to erase them all right now though. That's messages, weather. You can check out the weather in San Francisco, 56 degrees. I can scroll through the weather. I can see the highs and lows for the day. It was a rainy day, unfortunately. Looks like it's going to be rainy again, and then Thursday it's going to get a little bit nicer. I have humidity, sunrise, sunset, barometric pressure, wind speed. So very, very sophisticated, and it doesn't stop there. I have weather in other cities like Washington, D.C., Tulsa, where I have some family in both of those areas. North America, I can just scroll through all the different cities in North America and see what the weather's like. And I can even do international weather. I can just scroll through all the major cities in the world. So very sophisticated, very comprehensive weather channel. So news. We've already seen some of the major news stories with the message channel, but there's also a news channel, so you can also read about things that are maybe breaking headlines. And you can configure the types of news that you want to get. So I'm getting world news, national news, and technology news. Stocks. The market's closed. It's pretty late at night right now, but I can see how things have been doing. And I can even do something like tap on it to get a little more detailed view, where I can actually see a little graph of what's been happening over the last week with the stock. So very, very sophisticated stuff for a watch. Apple's been trending down. I'm sure that'll change very soon. And here's the calendar channel. I don't have any appointments right now because I'm on break today after Christmas, as you can see from the date right here. But I can also go to a month view, and I really love this feature. I mean, this is something that I think more digital watchers should try and do. I mean, it's so handy to have a full calendar in front of you, where you can see what day a certain day of the month falls on. This is a really, really handy thing to have. Here's movies, and I can browse either by movie, or I can browse by theater. So here are the movies that are playing at the Metreon. So that comes in handy when you're out and you decide you want to go see a movie spontaneously, and you can't check your computer or whatever, check the newspaper, whatever you use. You can just check your watch. Okay, so that's movies. And there's a traffic report. Not particularly interesting, so I'm not going to go through that, but you can basically configure the channel to support a couple of major routes and give you information on what's happening. And back to the time. So you can see in a relatively short amount of time I was able to navigate through a lot of very, very comprehensive and somewhat complex features that this watch has. It's very, very impressive. There's even a shortcut screen. So if I hold down here on the right side of the watch, you can see I have this little shortcut screen where I can jump to different channels. I can jump to the weather. And this will automatically configure itself based on what you use most. You can go to the news, go to messages, so that's really handy. The watch has a very, very nice backlight, which I'll show you. If I hold this down, hold the middle button down for a few seconds, you're not going to be able to see it unless I turn the light out here. So I'm going to turn my light out here. Hopefully you can see the backlight. Very, very nice, evenly lit backlight. And it has a rechargeable battery. I found that the battery will last about 4 or 5 days, depending on how much I use it. If I'm not getting a lot of messages, then it will go 5 days. If I'm not using the touch crystal a lot and using the backlight a lot, it might go 5 days. Between 3 and 5 days, and it takes a couple hours to recharge. I have a USB recharger, and I also have a wall recharger. And on top of all that, it's even water resistant to about 100 feet. which is pretty amazing. 100 feet is sort of, rain proof, or splash proof. You obviously wouldn't want to dive or really swim with it, but it's pretty impressive that they were able to pack all of this stuff into this case, and even make it waterproof. You have the touch crystal, you have a very nice backlight, you have a lot of technology. You have the FM receiver, a lot of stuff built into this relatively small case that straps pretty comfortably to your wrist. So that's pretty much all I have to show you. There are a lot more details in the actual review on watchreport.com, so go check it out. Thanks for watching.